A man has to be stronger than his emotions. You have to be willing to let go of everything at a whim. And that can be tough for many. Now, most guys like to act as if certain things don't affect you. But I would hope that when you get around your inner circle of brothers, you can express certain things, right? The truth is, fellas, I, like any other man, has had my fair share of betrayal, heartbreak, whatever. And I've always been candid and have spoken about my shortcomings and things that I've experienced and shared my perspective, right? So I was talking with a client the other day about love, being in love with women, having certain expectations on life. And I was sharing how what I've come to realize in my experience in this example, right? I would use heartbreak. My most recent heartbreak was about 2 years ago, right? I was with this girl who, quite frankly, I've really loved, and I even fell in love with her. That chapter of my life taught me so much. I wouldn't be the man that I am today if I didn't get hurt as bad as I did get hurt. Now, most men would never admit that a woman hurt them or a past relationship hurt them. Look, I'm 100% authentically myself. I'm here to tell you I got hurt, and I learned from that experience. And most guys have gotten hurt before, right? Or betrayed. And so most men walk around with this attitude of, nah, that could never be me again. Fuck these bitches, da da da. I'm gonna have a rotation of 10, whatever we do. But when you peel the layers back, you come to realize that that's a coping mechanism so that you don't get hurt again. But there's a problem when we're moving through life, right? So tight because you don't want to get hurt again. And that problem is you're not being authentically yourself. You're not free. You're not aligned. You're not centered. And so that also blocks opportunities for you with business. That also blocks other blessings. I always say that you should be able to move freely with an open heart, but obviously people have to earn you, right? Now, you're going to have to let go of everything, fellas. I'm not saying move through this life being apathetic, like you don't care. I'll tell you right now, I've got a big heart. I care about a lot of things, the people that I love in my life, the people that I serve, but I also don't chase things anymore, right? I've learned how to flow through life. And it's not easy because, like I said, when you're somebody who has a big heart, I think to be in service, to be a coach, to be an educator or whatever, you have to have a big heart. And a lot of you guys watching me, whatever your industry is, you have a big heart, even if it's masked under years of pain, of fighting, violence, right? I always say that a warrior has to be a lover. In fact, I'm reading a good book right now called Iron John, which I highly recommend. Where it talks about how to become a warrior, you have to learn how to be a lover first, right? And these are topics that aren't really spoken amongst men, right? But it's okay to love a woman. It's okay to love. It's okay to be vibrant, right? A lot of men, we've lost our exuberance, our excitement for life. And that's because the little boy inside of us is hurt, has been hurt, and has not been served. And so I made a video recently talking about how to serve and heal your inner child, which I think for men is so important. It's a topic that's not spoken enough. But many of you guys have blockages in your businesses. You have, repeating lessons that you're experiencing in life, whether that's with relationships or whatever. What I want you guys to do is fully be yourself. Learn how to fully be your authentic self, but not be attached. I also made a video talking about how to love a woman without being attached. I highly recommend that you go watch that. And the more I learn, fellas, the more I accept in myself. I'm a very kind person when I want to be. But like with any other situation, I just detach. It's not easy, right? You're sitting here worried about if this girl is doing this because you really like her, right? Some of you guys, you've been hurt before and you've been so closed off. So you've just been running through bitches, running through women, smashing different women. And then the second you come across a woman that you actually like, it throws you off balance because you actually like this girl. And now you feel like, fuck, what am I gonna do? I wasn't supposed to like this girl, but I really do. Now she got you all off center. But she has you off center because you're lying on the expectation of what could be. What you have to learn how to do is be able to love somebody in the present, love yourself in the present, be present in general. And nothing really exists outside of this moment. If you can learn how to master that and frame interactions and situations in life like this, you'll be free. And when something doesn't go the way that you would desire, it's going to hurt less. Now, this is a real advanced concept of thinking because as human beings, we get attached. We got feelings. But a man has to be stronger than his feelings, right? It's the same way that you might have to go to war. Obviously, you don't want to, especially if you have a family, a wife, and kids, but you have a duty. Men have always had to have dominion over our feelings. And having dominion over your feelings doesn't mean that you don't feel them. It means that you do feel them, but you have control over them. For me, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I allow myself to feel all emotion. I'm so happy to be alive. Like, I still haven't told the stories yet, but in 2023, I almost died twice. And so I'm so happy to be alive. And I feel so privileged to be able to feel the array of human emotions, right? I'll tell you right now, I have, and I've always been candid, right? I have certain situations in my life right now where I love those situations, but I'm also able to detach from them and understand that whatever happens, and I'm going to be okay. This is the kind of congruency that you have to move with. Most of you guys are suppressing your thoughts, you're suppressing your desires. And so because you're suppressing all these different things, you're not allowing yourself to be free. You're tiptoeing and walking too lightly on earth. Most of you guys are a fraction of the men that you need to be. Allow yourself to be the full, radiant man that you are. And part of this means feeling emotions, not being a slave to them, but feeling them. Most of us men close off different feelings, thoughts, emotions. And if you tap into that, you could only imagine how much creative energy can come into your life that can go towards your business, that can go towards your relationships, that can go towards serving your clients, your family. Feel your emotions when the time is right, but don't be a slave to them. Because the second that you start future pacing anything, whether that's with a woman, whether that's a different business idea, opportunity, you become a slave to your emotions and not the other way around. But I'm a very practical man. I don't want to leave you guys empty-handed, right? I'm sitting here telling you guys to feel your emotions, but be able to detach from them. How do you do that? What I have my gentlemen do is we practice visualization regularly, right? In particular, we practice hemisync visualization. Now, hemisync, and I want you guys to actually Google this because the CIA has extensive studies on this, is when you're able to activate both hemispheres of the brain, hence why it's called hemisync. It's a certain frequency. And I have my gentlemen and myself, obviously, visualize everything I want. I'm talking about sexual encounters. I'm talking about buying my mama a house. I'm talking about being the man that I know that I am. I'm seeing where I live, home, everything as vivid as possible, right? And I feel those emotions. I feel when I'm making love to a woman. I feel when I'm on a stage speaking to 1,000 people and I'm impacting lives. I feel when I'm on a private jet and I feel that the air condition, like as vivid as possible, right? So that your brain can accept it and internalize it as real via repetition. I've already spoken to you guys about how the mind understands things through images and emotions. So I practice this, and every client that I work with, I have them practice this within our systems. And once you do typically about 15 to 20 minutes, which you're gonna have to build up to that, right? Because when you first begin, your mind's gonna be going everywhere. But once you gain control of your mind and your emotions, and you feel those feelings, and then you get done with the meditation, and you come back into this reality, you detach and you continue living your life. And if you practice this long enough, you're now going to build emotional endurance. A lot of people talk about emotional intelligence, but you can build up your emotions like a muscle. And so for me, I feel a lot of emotions. I'm gonna be real with you right now. I feel a little bit sad for the health condition that my mother is in right now. I feel like I really like one of the women that I'm talking to right now. I really like her. I feel extremely driven for what I'm building right now. I've got an in-person mastermind in about a month and a half. These are all very strong emotions. I also feel a lot of grief because it's been a year since I lost my brother. I have a lot of different feelings that I'm feeling right now. And I allow myself to really sit in those feelings and feel them because it's a blessing. But just like my hemi-sync meditation, I detach. And once you know how to master your emotions, fellas, they're not gonna move you unless you want them to. And you'd be amazed at how many grown men walking around right now, age 35, 45, 50, that still don't have control of their emotions, or they're suppressing their emotions so they're not living as freely as they could be. Either way, you don't have control over your emotions. If you are suppressing your emotions because you're afraid, you don't have control over them. If you're not allowing yourself to feel them, you don't have control over it. You have to have dominion. And this can only be done by you feeling it, right? Feeling it, even accepting it, but having the strength and the courage to move on. Because in this modern day age, bro, like I said, men are a fraction of the men that we need to be.